We're back in open session. Time is 9:20 p.m. First item of business was discussed was attorney consultation with legal issues related to COVID-19 and the implication to leave under the Family First Corona Act. Is there any action needs to be taken by the board?
Mr. President, I move that we do not authorize intermittent leave or use of accrued paid leave to supplement the FCCRA leave as discussed in closed session.
Okay, I have a motion under item A that was discussed in closed session met by Ms. Yanes. Do I have a second? Seconded by Robbie Ayala. In discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Mr. President, I move that we require the superintendent to require all staff to be on site while teaching remotely as discussed in closed session.
Okay, I have a motion also under A made by Ms. Childers. I have a second. Second by Ms. Whitmore. In discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
This is Kim Hoff, and I oppose.
For the record, Ms. Hall opposed, motion passes. Any other items that we discussed that you need to make a motion on under item A? Nope. We'll move on to B, personnel report.
Mr. President, I move to approve the probationary contracts for new personnel and accepting resignations. Recommend to fill the following position: Julian Arriaga, Newman Middle School math teacher, pending certification and statement of eligibility. Aislinn Sangualino, Newman Middle School social studies teacher, pending certification and statement of eligibility. Vanessa Fletcher, Ramirez Burks Elementary kindergarten teacher, pending certification and statement of eligibility. Maria de Hoyos Ramirez, kindergarten teacher, Ensenada Elementary School. All personnel subject to reassignment.
I have
Probationary contract.
Yes, I have a motion by Mr. Ayala on probationary contracts for new personnel, and as made in this motion, have a second. Second by Ms. Childers. In discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Mr. President, I move to accept the following resignations: Brenda Gonzalez, Newman Middle School teacher.
I have a motion on resignation made by Mr. Ayala. Have a second. Second by Ms. Whitmore. In discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Mr. President, I move to approve the recommendations for new non-contractual personnel at-will employees to fill the following positions: Raymond Mendez, general maintenance worker, retroactive to July 2020. Dean Hughes, Ramirez Burks Elementary kindergarten instructional aide.
Okay, I have a motion.
Personnel subject to reassignment.
I have a motion by Mr. Ayala on new non-contractual personnel. Made his motion. Have a second. Second by Ms. Childers. In discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
And Mr. President, I move to approve the following transfer: Danielle Garcia from Ramirez Burks Elementary special education aide to Newman Middle School special education aide.
I have a motion on transfer made by Robbie Ayala. Have a second. Second by Ms. Childers. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hall. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're gonna move on. If there's no business board, and go to our action items that we skipped. The first one is item A, requirement for mask for students and staff practicing 6-foot social distancing. Socio?
I would like for the board to declare whether or not all staff need to wear masks or when they're appropriate within the 6 feet of somebody, and also whether or not the students will wear masks and at what level they would start. whether it's 10 years old. We'll have a grade level that has 10 years old in it and 9 years old in it. And so the weeding or trying to figure out which ones are 10 years old we can do, and that means that some class there'll be, that means in some class there will be some students wearing the mask and others not wearing the mask if we go directly with the governor's order. Because you will have some students over another in the same group of kids, same grade level.
What do you recommend at this point, Doc?
Well,
As far as teachers, that's a no-brainer, but for kids, what's the administration?
well, there's pluses and minuses to all of that, but I would think that if the board wanted the added protection for the students and the staff, that they would probably bring it down a little bit, a few grade levels. I don't know that I would recommend pre-K or the PEP Center wearing masks, but at some point we can start practicing the mask. I'm not suggesting that we're going to, you know, have discipline for those little children that don't keep their masks on or anything like that, but the expectation, I think, would be something to consider. What grade level? Maybe third or second. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I would think third, just because reading is so critical for seeing the mouth and so I'm saying third.
Yeah. I mean, I think they could probably handle second graders could probably handle it, but I think second graders could probably handle it, but I think that we're probably going to have a lot of students that, I mean, I don't know, maybe parents are going to ask them to wear them voluntarily anyway,
Yeah.
but and they may not be comfortable at that grade level, but
And
at least
also-
by the third grade.
And also the differentiation that face shields, so that the teachers can wear face shields so that students can see their mouth.
Mhm.
That's the same thing as a mask, right?
Yes.
Okay, want to make sure that was clear.
And we're providing all of that for the teachers, correct?
I don't know that we can provide disposable masks every day for every teacher. We may have to, at some point, ask them to provide their own.
Oh, I think so. I think they probably are prepared.
And the students, there's not enough masks in the nation for every student in the nation to change one out every day. So I think an expectation needs to be that the parents come to help there for the safety of their children and provide some reusable masks, cloth masks or something like that.
I bet you they already have them because it's required all over the place. So
Yeah.
I don't think that would be a problem. So third grade, does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we got a motion in?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. President, I motion that we require for masks for students and staff practicing 6 feet social distancing, starting at third grade level and up.
I have a motion on item A, on mask for students and staff, and made by a motion. I have a second by Mr. Ayala. In discussion, all in favor, motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carried. Item B, continue to pay, part-time employees. Mr. Bella will be presenting that. Mr. Bella?
Mr. President, Dr. Seals, members of the board, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's go and get started. On item B, continue to pay part-time employees. We were kind of ahead of the game. Remember when we started back in March, where we voted on going back? Let me take out this thing so y'all can see me. There you go. Remember when we went back 4 weeks and we brought this to the board and because we were all shut down, we said, you know what, we're gonna go on a 4-week average, and we paid our substitutes, our bus drivers, and our contracted personnel based on that. We were kind of ahead of the game. We did real well with that. The only thing now is that we're not shut down anymore. Once we come back, we're open for business. As not as far as the kids are concerned, but as far as being able to come to work. So what we were talking about and what we looked at was follow the same pattern that we did. In other words, go back and use the same information that we had before, the 4 weeks divided by the number of weeks, and get an average of hours. But instead of them being paid just to stay home, that we would ask them to come in and do some type of service, whether it's custodial, whether it's, copying papers for the staff or whatever. The only thing is we'd have to make sure that we kind of kept them in groups. That way, if someone ever gets infected or gets the COVID, then we kind of keep it to a small group. You know what I mean? And not spread it out too much. So what we would like to do is present to you all that we keep on paying these people because they especially our drivers. We don't want to lose drivers and things of that nature. But at the same token, it's not just to stay at home. They need to be willing to come in and do something for those services. Okay, so let's say a bus driver averaged, let's say 20 hours a week. Then we would offer them those 20 hours a week, but they'd come in and provide a service to the district to get paid. And same thing with subs and same thing with contracted personnel, that they would come in and provide a service. It may not be the same service that they're providing normally, especially like the bus drivers, because we're not picking up kids. But the fact that we would offer them those 20 hours for them to come in to do another service for the district, but still get paid for their services, okay? So that's what we're looking at. Again, we just want to bring it to the board. So if we are going to move on it, then we need to move on it as y'all require or as y'all deem necessary. Any questions?
I have a question. So like the bus drivers and the custodians, and the subs can probably help with the cleaning sometimes. Is that the
Depends
thought?
on
And anything they need to do?
what they can do.
Okay.
Are they gonna
Yeah.
be, I'm sorry, Raquel.
Go ahead, Mr. Hermes.
Are they gonna be required, especially like subs, to come in for 8 hours?
No. What would happen is that we would get the average. Remember what we did back in March? Like let's say a sub worked 6 hours a week. That's all they work on that average. Then they would come in and work those 6 hours. That's all. Okay. And let's say they average 15 hours a week. Then they would come in and if they wanted to get paid, they'd have the option to come in and work whatever those average hours were. Then they would have that option. And we just want them. We want to be able to let them have some kind of income to what they were used to having, if they wanted it. And if they decide not to, then it's up to them.
I agree with you, Inspector. I was just wondering.
Mr. Vela,
Yes, ma'am.
as far as, I guess y'all would be assigning them to duties in certain campuses, but like when speaking about subs, if we have subs that are from Encinal, would you assign them to the Encinal campus just because of proximity and so forth? Or
Yes.
Okay.
We would try to assign them to where they would normally be at. For example, let's say someone spends 8 hours a week at Ramirez Burks and 1 hour a week at the high school. Well, we're not gonna make them go the 1 hour at the high school. We'll keep them at RBE. You see what I'm saying? And then same thing with Encinal people. Whoever subs over there, if that's where they normally go, then that's where we'd want to assign them.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if I'm a substitute from Encinal and I normally teach at the high school and I'm on 6 hours a week, granted, gas is cheap these days, but would it make more sense to assign them to the Encinal campus just because of the drive and so forth?
We would leave that up to them, Kim. I mean, if that person would normally come to Catula anyway to do something else and say, well, I'd rather be over there, then we'd give them that option. But yes, you're correct. If it's easier for them over there, then we can assign them to do something over there.
Okay, just checking.
But if we have an overload one day at the elementary and we need some of those subs to go to the middle school or the high school, then I think we need to have that flexibility to do that.
I'm not making a motion. I was just inquiring if all that would be taken into consideration.
Yes, ma'am, it will.
Any more discussion on item B? I will entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we continue to pay the part-time employees as we have discussed.
I have a motion on item B as made by Mr. Schilder, to continue to pay part-time employees, discussed in open session. Have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Raquel Yanas, any discussion? All in favor, motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Item C, consideration of possible action regarding UIL participation for students who do not report for in-person instruction. Dr. Shields?
We are going to be closed for a while to in-person instruction. But when we get back to in-person instruction, and we have a student whose parents or they are too afraid to come to school to participate in in-person instruction, then I would suggest that they not be allowed to participate in extracurricular activities for the same reason. If it's too dangerous to be in in-person instruction, then it's even more dangerous to be in extracurricular activity. If we hit a situation to where we have to run an A/B schedule at the secondary, where there's A's come on one day and B's come on another day, that would be a little bit different. But as long as they come to their day of instruction and in person, then they would be allowed to participate in extracurricular.
I would be surprised that there would be anybody that would consider sending their child to participate in UIL for their health and safety if they can't come to school. You're right.
I would be, it might happen.
Okay, well. Oh, sorry. You want me to repeat what I just said?
Anyway, that's what I was wanting to get a reading on from the board. Yeah. Determination of what we need to do.
I don't think it would be safe for them to participate in extracurricular activities if they are concerned so much about their health and safety that they are not attending in person.
Probably need a motion on this, then,
Okay.
on not allowing UIL participation. Is that correct, Doc?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mr. President, I move that any students that do not report for in-person instruction will not be allowed to participate in UIL activities.
I have a motion on item C made by Ms. Whitmore. Have a second?
Second. Oh,
Seconded by Ms. Yanis. Any discussion? All in favor, motion say aye.
aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item D, additional custodial positions.
Here to request the addition of a custodial slot for the school district. Right now, when we open up in person, we're going to have 20 additional classrooms and a cafeteria and some other spaces at the learning center. And in addition to all that we already have, and whenever we get into the new building, it's going to be bigger and we're going to need more staff there too. So I would like to ask now for additional positions for this custodian,
Just one?
just one.
How many custodians do you have currently?
Mr. Vela, how many custodians do we have currently?
Off the top of my head, sir, I couldn't tell you. I'd have to go back and look, but it's probably
Or
three or four at the high school, two, and two. So you're looking at 2, 4,
12?
6, yeah, about 12, maybe more.
Mr. President, I move to approve the additional custodial position as presented by Dr. Seals.
Okay, I have a motion on item D is made by Mr. Ayala. Have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Whitmore. Any discussion?
No, are you,
Dr. Shields? My only comment on this motion would be, I would ask that you monitor and monitor this situation, because with all the disinfecting requirements and so forth, if we need more, you certainly have our support to get as many as needed, because we want to make sure we're clean and doing everything we need to keep everybody safe.
Thank you, I appreciate that. We will have extra help from the substitutes and the bus drivers and others.
Yeah,
also.
I was about to say that. Thanks, Kim. I was gonna say the same thing, if you needed more.
Thank you.
All in favor, motion, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn by Ms. Yamas and seconded by Mr. Childers.
Mhm.
Any discussion? All in favor, motion, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries.